You're watching QTV Media News, coming to you live from our studios along Caraba Avenue, and I am Ansumane Nhrc. Our headlines: addressing heat crowds on day one of his election campaign tour, President Barrow has urged the people of Nyomi and Jokado to vote massively for the NPP-led Grand Coalition for Continuous Development. Professor Mamadou Ba, one of the independent presidential candidates disqualified by the IEC, is the latest former presidential aspirant to endorse President Barrow for the December presidential election. The National Human Rights Commission on Tuesday commenced a two-day conference with stakeholders on speedy access to justice delivery in the Gambia. At the COP26 summit in Glasgow, the Vice President, Dr. Esther Ture, has stated that nationally determined contributions and other commitments are not sufficient to reduce global temperature rise by 1.5 degrees. And in sports news, the United Arab Emirates Volleyball Association says they will support the Gambia national volleyball team. We will hear from our sports reporter Mamadou Gajaga, who is with the team in Dubai. Well, those were our main headlines, and now we'll look at the news in detail. President Adama Barrow has urged the people of Nyomi and Jokado to vote massively for the NPP-led Grand Coalition for Continuous Development, Peace and Unity. He made a call while addressing huge crowds on day one of his election campaign tour. Alucisa is on the tour and he now reports.
Addressing free political rallies in Fas Umar Saho, Dungu Charen and Kuntaya in Nyomi and Jokado districts, North Bank region on Tuesday night, President Adama Barrow reaffirmed his commitment to usher in more life-changing developments if re-elected in December, as he urged the people to vote him massively and decisively back into office. The Secretary General and leader of the National People's Party said the development ushered in are just the beginning of many he intends to provide. For President Barrow, the NPP represents peace, stability and development, reminding the people that the upcoming election is very important for the country. The President made a major announcement that from the end of January 2022, alcalos totaling 1,800 across the country will be paid salaries. He said this is captured in the 2022 budget approved by the National Assembly. He informed the gatherings that the reasons for conceiving the idea is to support the work of the alcalo who are playing important roles at their village level.
mooy kees boo xam ne liggéey rek la xam mooy kees boo xam ne dafa emale waa Gambia yëpp ñëpp a am biir Gambia fii kon kees boobu da ngeen ko war a xàmmee bu baax a baax a baax a baax soo leen buggee liggéey yi continuer jàmm bi continuer si kees boobu ngeen a woote waaye gom naa ne yéen jël ngeen décision gom naa ne yéen kees boobu ngeen di wooteel kees boobu mooy ban kees kan mooy borom kees bi mooy President Barrow.
He also informed the crowds that a national health insurance scheme has been approved by the National Assembly. He further announced that his government has secured $50 million funding to buy fishing boats, improve landing sites with storage, and train young people to take ownership of the fishing sector. Hamad Nkeba and Fabakar Tombong Jatta, leaders of the Nrc party and APRC party respectively, said President Barrow deserves a second mandate to accomplish his development agenda. According to Tombong Jatta, the decision by the APRC to join the president is in the interest of the country, describing President Barrow as a good listener, humble and an honest leader. He appealed to all APRC supporters to vote for NPP to give President Barrow another mandate. At all the meetings, representatives of the people of Nyomi and Jokado took turns to give assurances that the NPP is going to sweep the polls in Lower Nyomi, Upper Nyomi and Jokado in the next presidential election.
President Adama Barrow ñun dañ koy fay moom moo ñu lebal de
maa ngi leen di laaj yéen waa Nungu Caaren ak ñi fi teew ndax kii dinañ ko weccee ak keneen ma ne dégguma leen ndax kii dinañ ko weccee ak keneen ma ne ndax kii dinañ ko weccee ak keneen. President soo tëddee nga nelaw.
They are impressed with the major infrastructural development projects in the area, such as the ongoing construction of the 80-kilometer Hakalang road, the construction of which was doubted by many when President Barrow laid the foundation stone. They took the opportunity to appeal for, among other things, more health facilities, electricity, roads, and skill centers. Reporting for QTV News from Kerawan in the North Bank region, I am Aliou Cisse.
Now, Professor Mamadou Ba, one of the independent candidates disqualified by the Independent Electoral Commission, is the latest to endorse President Barrow for the December presidential election. Ba met President Barrow on Wednesday in Balibu, Kerawan, where the NPP-led Grand Coalition is on a campaign tour. QTV's Aliou Cisse spoke to both Ba and Sidinjai, the National People's Party deputy spokesperson.
We've come to endorse the president based on our principle, because you know that I'm a rejected candidate. So we've discussed, I've been in touch with my base, we've discussed, we have agendas. You know, I wrote a book, 433 Attack, and then it is a very good book for the country. It is a very good development project for the country. So we've decided to come to the president and inform him about our agenda. We've brought a 12-point agenda that we've derived from the 433 attack, which we believe would help a lot in the development of our country.
What can you tell us about this 12-point agenda?
Yeah, the 12-point agenda, the first agenda is reconciling the people and improving our democracy through a national dialogue committee. That is strengthening of the inter-party committee. That's first, because my job previously as a peace campaigner was to reconcile the people, and we've started the process before. So now we just want to continue it with the president. So the second one is tackling physical and systematic violence in the country through empowering the youths. You know, we know that there are dropouts, school dropouts. We know that there is violence in the country, and it is as a result of a systematic violence, because of the youths are drop out, they don't have training, they don't have education. So we need to empower them, to inspire them, so that we can change that. The president is very open, he has a very open door policy, and this is why we were able to access him. And some other parties also did not contact me directly as the president did.
Your message to Gambians now that you have endorsed the president?
Yeah, I wish that we have a peaceful, free, fair elections. This is what I've been working for, and this is why I'm in this president's camp, so that we can maintain peace, and then we have a peaceful election come December 4th.
We are very happy from the president to the entire membership, because in elections it's about addition, it's about numbers and not subtractions. Even if you have one vote addition to what you have, you are gaining. So having all these people to come and endorse the president, and we're expecting another party tomorrow here, it's a huge achievement for the president, the National People's Party, and the entire Grand Coalition. So we are set to win a landslide come December 4, 2021. We are all happy. The president have told him and have welcomed him, and that he should be part of it. Those who were with us from the very beginning and those who joined yesterday and today, we're all the same. So we are grateful.
Well, away from politics now, the National Human Rights Commission on Tuesday commenced a two-day conference with stakeholders on speedy access to justice delivery in the Gambia. Ajibintu Dramia tells us more.
The stakeholders include the Judiciary, Gambia Bar Association, representatives from the prisons and the police prosecution and human rights civil society organizations. The Gambia's constitution guarantees the right to fair trial within a reasonable time. In line with this, the Nhrc embarked on a study on the state of human rights in the Gambia. The study found out that inmates lamented the years they spent behind bars, waiting for trial or access to legal aid and counsel, which becomes a challenge.
We appreciate the fact that justice must not only be accessible, but it must be accessible to all. And the judiciary also has that in mind in trying to decentralize the whole justice delivery system, though we are present in the regions, but not in all the regions. So expansion is part of our strategy plan to expand and make sure that we are available in all the regions so that justice can be accessible to all.
It is said justice delayed is justice denied. Bafu Jeng, Senior State Counsel, Ministry of Justice, says collaborative efforts are important to achieve the future everybody envisages for the justice system.
When we talk about access, it goes beyond merely establishing law. It goes beyond merely establishing institutions. The people got to be aware of the existence of these institutions so that they can go out to the institutions to seek redress.
One of the objectives of the conference is to map out an advocacy strategy to push for recommendations to speedy access to justice. Access to justice is a fundamental human right. The Nhrc Strategy Plan 2021-2025 identifies assistance to ensure equitable access to justice in the Gambia. Emmanuel Daniel Diouf, Commissioner and Chairperson of the Nhrc, outlined some of the challenges.
We have Children's Act, Women's Act, we have our criminal procedure, we have it all. We have myriads of, we have the court system. But is that just enough to say that we have these institutions and we have laws to say that people access justice? Well, not really. We cannot say that there is access to justice where citizens and marginalized groups, where they fear the system, where they see it as alien. And I'm sure when you bring somebody from outside there, you take them to the High Court, and they see very serious people dressed in robes, wearing wigs, speaking English that even lay people don't understand. And some lawyers are fond of even lacing it with Latin. And you will imagine, you will think that you are in a strange and foreign land. Even if filing court fees are expensive, accessing lawyers, it's expensive.
Barrister Sheriff Kumba Job, a private legal practitioner, shares his thoughts on whether the recommendation at the end of the conference will be achieved.
I think the main objective, of course, would be achieved, I want to believe, because this is an opportunity for us to have a frank and honest discussion of some of the challenges we have. And we think the government would be committed to it, all the stakeholders, because this is not only the government, so it's involved all the stakeholders that I mentioned.
At the end of the two-day conference, the Nhrc will use the information and discussion to prepare an advisory note for government to improve the country's justice delivery system. Once that is done, the next challenge will be implementation and sustainability of the recommendations. Ajibintu Drame, QTV News.
And a report by Ajibintu Drame will lead us to a short commercial break, but we will be right back. Don't go away.
Looking for the fastest and easiest way to receive money transfers from abroad? Well, QMoney and RIA just made it happen. Now you can receive international money transfer from RIA directly into your QMoney account with no additional cost. Once you receive an SMS alert about your transfer, walk into any QMoney agent across the country to receive your payment for free, or use the money immediately to buy credit, QPower, and other QMoney services. It's fast, safe, and convenient. For more info, call customer care on 133. QMoney, Sinu Calpe. Terms and conditions apply.
Well, thanks for staying with us. Now, nationally determined contributions and other commitments are not sufficient to reduce global temperature rise by 1.5 degrees. So said the Vice President of the Gambia, Dr. Aissatou Toure, at the COP26 summit in Scotland. Yadava Sonko reports from Glasgow.
Nationally determined contributions, NDCs, are non-binding national plans, highlighting climate actions including climate-related targets for greenhouse gas emission reductions, policies, and measures governments aim to implement in relation to climate change. The Gambia's Paris Agreement target aims to reduce emissions by 2.7% in 2030. Despite these ambitious nationally determined contributions to combat the current climate crisis as a country, the Gambia continues to face climate-related damages. Two recent windstorms in July and September 2021 caused major destruction. Here's Gambia's Vice President, Dr. Aissatou Toure.
In 2014, we asked the following questions. If urgent action is not taken now, when shall we take them? When shall we act to reduce global greenhouse gas emissions? These questions, in my view, still remain unanswered. Nationally determined contributions, NDCs, and other commitments to the Paris Agreement are not sufficient enough to limit global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees centigrade. Certainly, not enough to protect the lives of vulnerable communities in many developing countries around the world.
Vice President Toure calls on participants of the COP26 not to leave Glasgow without robust and effective rules set for the Paris Agreement. Part of the site events, Achan Steiner, UNDP administrator, had a bilateral meeting with the Gambian Minister of Environment, Lamin B. Dibba. This is what the UNDP boss thinks about the Gambia's ambitious NDC, which his office funded.
I'm very pleased. I just met with the Minister, in fact, Minister of Environment, Minister of Agriculture, and the delegation of the Gambia here at Glasgow at the COP. And I congratulated the Gambia on this NDC. It is an NDC that is both ambitious, it is clear in terms of national priorities. On the one hand, a 1.5 degree scenario is part of what drives it. Not many countries have achieved that yet.
Minister Lamin B. Dibba gave us an update on the discussions with the UNDP boss to further support the implementation of the country's NDC.
Today we met with him to also brief him on the details of the NDC and the implementation modalities of the NDC. And he has assured us that UNDP will continue to work with the government of the Gambia to ensure that the NDP is implemented. And we have also highlighted the key priorities of the Gambia government under the NDC, and he is very much looking forward to see how we can work together and enhance our partnership, not only UNDP, but other development partners from all over the world to see how best they can support the Gambia to implement the NDC.
So what has been agreed so far for the COP26? There's a pledge from 190 countries, banks and organizations agreeing to phase out coal power and support for new coal power plants. Don't be excited. The agreement is non-binding, coupled with the absence of major coal users and miners. Stay with QTV for daily COP26 updates. This broadcast is proudly sponsored by SN Brussels and Q Group. Jenna Bosonko reporting for QTV News from Glasgow, UK.
Now, $300,000 worth of streetlights was installed in Manchester Street in Basse by a community-led organization called Manchester Cabilo. The organization also organized a one-day free clinic for the inhabitants in the area. Alaji F. Jallo was there and he filed this report.
Manchester Cabilo is a charitable organization founded by natives, friends, and one-time residents of Manchester Street in Basse, with members living in the Gambia and abroad. The events were organized to coincide with the organization's one-year anniversary. This organization mobilized resources by financial contribution by members who wish to give back to their community. At the inauguration, Duta Jaune, a 97-year-old, one of the founding fathers, applauded the youths for their initiative and advised them to strengthen the peaceful coexistence in the Cabilo.
Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah.
I thank and praise Allah for the gift of life. Today, I have mixed feelings. I am happy to witness a day like this, but also sad that none of my colleagues I started the journey with is alive today. All of them are gone. I thank Allah for keeping me alive until today, because it is the will of Allah. I pray for peace and tranquility in the country, because without peace, there will be no development. Youthful life is very challenging. I'm advising the youths to be law-abiding, peaceful, and love each other. During our youthful days, we will never forsake each other. Remember that you are all from the same parents in the same community or country. If you are united, your aspirations will surely be accomplished by the grace of Allah. Mohamed Job, the PRO of the organization, has this to say. First, I would like to thank QTV for dedicating their services to societal development. We also thank and pray for our founding fathers who laid the solid foundation for us. We are joyful for coming to give back to our beloved community. We are united as a community to support our people. At Manchester Cabilo, we don't want anyone to go hungry. We would provide medical assistance for anyone that falls sick. No school dropout. We are ready to support the education of our members. We provide social amenities for everyone to live a dignified life. Development is a gradual process, but surely we are determined to accomplish these goals. Musa B. Balde, A nurse and a member of the organization said, one should not ask what your country can do for you, but rather, how much can you give back to your community? He added that this is another way in complementing government's effort.
And the very important thing that prompted us to come up with this idea is that we have realized that health is an aspect that is very important in every community and in every country, for sure. So we realized that also government can't do all this by themselves, which is very important. So, but as a citizen and as a native and as someone who is born in this capital, we feel that it's best that we can come back, we the ones who were born here and we are health personnel, we can come back and do some of these investigations and be able to know what actually are our people suffering from.
The day also featured free medical examination and treatment, issuance of birth certificates for children under 5, the rolling out COVID-19 vaccines, health guidance and counseling, among other activities. Reporting for QTV News, I am Alaji F. Jal.
A great community initiative there. We'll now take a look at sports in a moment.
Training camp. Gambia's women's volleyball team received a visit by...
The United Arab Emirates Volleyball Association says they will support the Gambia national volleyball team. This development came during the Gambia women's team's training camp in Dubai. Our sports reporter, Mamoudi Gajaga, is with the team and he reports from Dubai.
For the second time during their training camp, Gambia's women's volleyball team received a visit by a high-profile official in the UAE sporting circles. On Tuesday, it was the Secretary General of the United Arab Emirates Volleyball Association, Dr. Ahmed Al-Mutawwar, who visited the team at their training ground.
We are welcoming the Gambian national team here in the UAE, and hopefully you will get the targets from your visit.
Strengthening cooperation between sports bodies and officials. The United Arab Emirates Volleyball Association under the Ministry of Sports say they are pleased to host the Gambia women's volleyball team. Dr. Ahmed Al-Mutawwar told QTV they will support the Gambian team.
I am so happy for that partnership, and in the future also we will keep supporting the Gambia national team, and the UAE also, as usual, we are supporting the sports in the world.
The United Arab Emirates is an oil-rich nation that has invested millions of dollars in sports development locally and around the world. The country is in Western Asia, located at the eastern end of the Arabian Peninsula. It borders Oman and Saudi Arabia and has maritime borders in the Persian Gulf with Qatar and Iran. If the support for Gambia's volleyball is fulfilled, it would be a welcome boost and will help the sport survive and thrive.
Well, I'm afraid that is all about it, but before we take a leave of you, here's a recap from main headlines. Addressing huge crowds on day one of his election campaign tour, President Barrow has urged the people of Niomey and Jokari to vote massively for the NPP-led Grand Coalition for Continuous Development. Professor Mamadou Ba, one of the independent presidential candidates disqualified by the IEC, is the latest former presidential aspirant to endorse President Barrow for the December presidential election. The National Human Rights Commission on Tuesday commenced a two-day conference with stakeholders on speedy access to justice delivery in the Gambia. At the COP26 summit in Glasgow, the Vice President of the Gambia, Dr. Aïssatou Touré, has stated that nationally determined contributions and other commitments are not sufficient to reduce global temperature rise by 1.5 degrees. And in sports news, the United Arab Emirates Volleyball Association says they will support the Gambian national volleyball team. We heard from our reporter, Mamoudi Gajaga, who is with the team in Dubai. Well, that's all. Thanks for watching. Do join us in the evening for more news.